There we are. You know, I have a thought, guys. We're going to have to start these things at like 2:59 because it takes so long for it to go live sometimes.
I've often thought that on other people's hangouts or webinars on there.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Wednesday afternoon hangout. We used to call them sizzling summer sessions, but I mean, it's hot here today, but
Yeah.
summer's about over, so I guess we're going to have to call them
Fabulous.
amazing autumn sessions or something like that.
You can call them
Anyway.
sizzling summer sessions today.
Yes, you certainly
Yeah,
can.
yeah, we could. We certainly can. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathy Heath, and I am here with my lovely sidekick, Tracy Housel. Tracy, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Kathy. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm still eating my lunch, but
That's okay.
beyond that, we're doing good. And we have asked our good friend who has kind of become a regular here with us.
He has.
He really has, and I enjoy having him here. Dr. Bob Clark, we've asked him to join us today because, again, the three of us got to talking, and we needed him here to flesh things out for us and carry on the discussion. So how are you doing today, Bob?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you? You guys are always, it's so much fun to come here because we always talk about stuff that just gets us going so much, and then we go off camera and we start talking about this stuff, then we're like, we have to talk about this to everybody else, and then that's what happens.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happens, is, we stop the broadcast and the three of us sit here and chat and we get off on these passionate tangents of ours and we go, oh, we got to talk about that next week.
Yeah.
So,
well, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Oh, I love
having
you back.
you.
There's a train coming, so Tracy, I'm going to let you introduce today's session.
Okay, today is, while the train goes by, the Perfectionist Trap, breaking the shackles of perfection and not knowing how to ask somebody for help. When we were talking about this, we were actually talking about through Facebook about what to call this, and because we had someone last week who watched our hangout and said they had trouble with asking for help and worrying about getting everything together. So we thought it would be a perfect opportunity to bring this out to everybody. Some people think you can't be a perfectionist if your house is a mess, if your blog's a mess, whatever. You can't. No, you might be a perfectionist, and that may be why your house is a mess, because you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it until it's perfect. But in business, we were just talking about it. It's usually, I usually hear it in the form of blogs. I can't put my first blog post out. I can't publish it until my blog is beautiful and perfect and everything is just the way it's supposed to be. What are your thoughts on perfectionism, Kathy?
Well, I was blessed a few years ago with a mentor who literally pounded into me that I didn't have to worry about being right and perfect. I just needed to do something. Because while I was sitting back here making sure that, everything was absolutely perfect, nothing was out there in terms of marketing. And this applied to my blog. This applied to, I can't tell you how many videos I put together and never put on my YouTube channel because they weren't perfect, or videos that I recorded 6, 7, 8, 10 times because it wasn't perfect, because I forgot a word here or a word there. But I think when I look at, hi, my name is Kathy, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. I had to really take a long, hard look at why I was such a perfectionist. What was causing me to want to have everything just absolutely pristine? And what I discovered was I had kind of a dual problem. And you're right that that one gal that we were talking about, was talking with us about perfectionism and not asking for help. I I emailed my list and I asked them for uh, how we could help them with things that we talk about on these Wednesday hangouts, and I got tons of emails back, and if you read through them, there were two common threads. Number one is they weren't putting anything out there because they were afraid it wasn't going to be right. And number two was they were, for some reason, not willing to ask for help. And this resonated with me because when I started looking at myself back then, when my mentor was beating me over the head to get stuff done, um, what I discovered was not only did I not want to put anything out there unless it was absolutely perfect, I didn't want to ask for help because I didn't want people to know that I didn't know. I didn't want people to think that maybe I was less than, or that I was incompetent, or whatever. It was all centered around what other people thought of me,
Hmm.
and what I perceived their impression of me was going to be if I put out something that was less than perfect, or turned and said, hey, I need help with this, or I'm not good at that, or whatever. And the blessing for me is that I was able to get past that, only because my best friend saw the very first video that I was willing to post on my YouTube channel. She told me how awful it was. She told me what was wrong with it. She told me what to change the next time, and then she forbade me to delete it because at least I had something out there. And it all boils down to my willingness to let go of what other people thought of me being less than superwoman, less than perfect. So I think perfectionism and not wanting to ask for help are both rooted in the
Mm-hmm.
same cause.
I do too. And you know what's interesting is that we're afraid to ask for help, but we're always encouraging our children, in my case, nieces and nephews, and the kids I work with, to ask us questions, to ask us for help. But we're afraid to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always find it fascinating. Bob?
I was going to go off on a different tangent, but Kathy, you said something that just kind of hit home, and I think it's true for a lot of people. I manage a group of 20 people in the laboratory I supervise, and there I'm expected to know all the answers, and I usually do because I'm trained in that. I've been doing it for 20 some odd years, and I've pretty much encountered all the situations I'm going to encounter, so I do usually know the answers to it. And when I came into this circle, the online marketing world, which was totally new to me, I found myself not wanting to let people know I didn't know the answers, even though there's no way I should have known them. But I was transferring the other part of my life onto this, and it stopped me for a long time. And even today, a little bit sometimes, I'll find it hard to put out there that I didn't know this, because I feel like in my other job I do know, and I have an advanced degree, so maybe I should know. It has nothing to do with marketing, and there's no way I should know it. But I think maybe that's happening to people. Maybe in other areas of their life they are experts, and then they come in here and start a business, and they don't know stuff, and maybe that's hard for people. Maybe it was for me.
Same here.
Where I guess what I'm seeing, and we were talking about this a little bit before the hangout, what I'm seeing is people coming into this space, into this arena, for whatever reason, for whatever, last week we talked about their hunger, their desperation, and how that's more than just a quote unquote why. So people come to this arena and they look around them and they decide for some reason that they have to be as good as somebody who's been doing it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And when they're not, because like you just said, Bob, you can't know something that you've never been involved with.
Right.
We have this tendency, and I don't know why we do, but we have this tendency to beat ourselves up about it and think that there's something, we're lacking something that we have to, hide from others so that they can't see our flaws, instead of realizing that we're brand new. We're brand new, and expecting ourselves to be able to market like a Rob Ford or a Ray Higdon or a Diane Hockman is like asking a kindergartner to perform calculus. There's stuff that you need to learn along the way before you can get to that point. And yet, in this space, and I've not found it in any other profession, to be honest with you.
I haven't either.
I really haven't. In this space, it seems like, I don't know, maybe because you don't have to go to college and you don't have to go to trade school and you don't have to, get a degree that you can hang on the wall, and like the three of us did in our former careers. Maybe there's this notion that it's not really a profession that you need to learn. I don't know if that's part of it, or if it's just our inherent insecurities about what other people think. I don't know.
I think some of it comes from, it's the way that our industry is portrayed sometimes. You get these young kids who come out of with no college, whatever, and they don't know any better. They just keep going. They like bull in a china shop, and then they get results. You get the people talking about the housewife who has no experience, all of a sudden made all this money, and there's always a backstory to that you don't hear, but that's what you hear, and it makes you kind of like, oh my, I should know this stuff. I should be doing better. And here's what I think. So many times I've asked people on my list, or people, and we've asked people on the Facebook groups, what do you need help on? And you guys ever notice that very few people ever answer that?
Yep.
And after I cornered some people who I knew weren't doing well and asked them, why don't you ask for help? Their response is always, I don't know what to ask for help on. I don't even know where I'm stuck. And I think the people who understand that and get through it and just go to somebody who is more experienced and say, hey, I don't even know where I need help. Can you help me figure out where I need help? That's a huge thing for people to do. And I think that's maybe what's stopping some people, is they don't know where they need help.
True. And also,
go, Tracy.
I was gonna say, I also think for some strange reason we compare ourselves. Like you said earlier, when like I was student teaching, I didn't compare myself to a teacher who was getting ready to retire. I shouldn't be as good as that person. They've been doing it for 30 years. But like you said, we come here and then we see the Rob Fords of the world and we think, oh, I'm supposed to be able to do that and be just like him. We forget that we actually have to go to school first and then practice. And that's part of the perfectionism, is we don't want to practice, but we can't get any better if we don't practice. And I think that all wraps up and goes into it. Kathy?
I'm gonna not counter, but the other side of the coin that Bob was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The people who genuinely don't know where they're stuck, they don't know what they need to do, and they need help figuring that out. There are also people that you hold out your hand, and I know you've done this, Bob. I've seen you do it. Tracy, I've seen you do it too, and I know I've done it tons of times. You hold out your hand and say, I'll give you a free 15-minute, 30-minute consult. Let's get everything out on the table and see what it is, that you need to work on. Let's see, the direction that you want to go. Let's get things figured out. And nobody takes you up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets me back to that fear. It's a fear. It's got to be.
It is. I agree.
That, I can't let anybody know that I'm having trouble here. I can't let anybody know that I don't know what I'm doing. I can't let anybody know that, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Because they're just, even when you're holding your hands out to help them, they're not willing to say, yes, I need help figuring this out. That I find very, very frustrating, and I remind myself
Mm-hmm.
of that when I come across a problem that I need help with, and I'm starting to feel that, I don't want to ask anybody. Excuse me. I know how frustrating it is for me when I'm offering to help somebody, so I go ahead and I get the help I need now. It makes all the difference.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah. Some of it is the fake it till you make it, Kathy.
Explain that, Bob.
Well, I've heard it so many times. Fake it till you make it. Even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you're not getting results, just fake it. And I disagree with it, but I've heard a lot of people say it. So maybe that plays a part of people's thinking. I think it's a matter of trust sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I know, Kathy, that you know something and I don't know it, I trust you enough to go, and I trust Tracy enough to go and say, hey, I need help. I know you guys wouldn't say, oh, you don't know that? What are you talking about? So it comes from a place of trust too, I guess, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
people need to find that person that they trust.
True.
That's a good point.
That is true.
That's a good point, Bob. So, Bob, I know you well. Tracy, I know you well. And I guess I want to ask you what you did. I'm going to say it like it is. What you did to get your own ego out of the way and start making some progress. Because that's what it is, guys. It's an ego issue. We're all concerned with our own appearances, and that's what ego is. Whether it's a high opinion of yourself or a low opinion of yourself, ego is concerned with yourself, period.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do, or did you stumble across something, or did you use a particular technique? What did you do to park your ego at the door, so to speak, and start moving things forward?
You want to go first, Trace?
I knew you were going to say that.
I always put you first.
I know you do. Well, one of the things, actually, I stumbled across it at this, but I also knew it from my years in education as a special ed teacher. That's one of the things I did before I became a school psychologist. I took, and I've been wanting to take forever, even Pagan's Wake Up Now or whatever that one course was called on productivity.
Wake Up Productive, yeah.
There you go, Wake Up Productive. But it was like thousands of dollars, and I just wasn't going to do it. Came down to $200. I bugged Diane. I got her link. I bought it. And he talked about baby steps. And I just wanted to slap myself across the head because I know all about baby steps. That's what all about special education is about. It's about teaching the kids how to break complicated things down into little parts. It's what, the behavioral aspect of a school psychologist does. It breaks down the behavior into little parts.
Mm-hmm.
That made a big difference for me. There's a whole there's a whole list of things you should do every day for your business. That was too much for me. So I broke it down and just added little layers to those routines and habits were formed. And that, I guess, between even sort of gave me permission on top of our mutual mentor, just to do a little bit, because I had myself convinced I had to do it all at one time. And that just helped me to get moving a little bit so I could see some progress.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I could move a little bit further and see some more progress. So that's what helped me a lot. Those breaking it all down into baby steps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you, Bob?
This was the toughest nut for me to crack, I'll have to say. And I'm still trying to crack it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not perfect either.
It still gets in there sometimes. And it is the whole ego thing, Kathy. That's the perfect way to put it. I'd like to say that I saw the light and I got it myself and I found something, some program that helped me or whatever. But really, what it came down to is I found someone who was honest enough with me to call me out on my crap and say, forget about all the stuff that you think you know, that you should know. How much money are you making? How many leads are you getting a day? How many people are you meeting? And it shocked me. It absolutely shocked me, and it embarrassed me that I had to answer these questions. But I trusted this person enough, and we know who it is. I trusted this person enough that I said, look, the last couple of years haven't been going so well, so maybe I ought to listen to somebody and let my ego, put it to the side for a while and be embarrassed and not feel so bad about it. And Diane is very uplifting and supporting, but she asked me these really, really tough questions, and it forced me to get the ego out of the way. So I'd like to tell you I did it myself, but I didn't. But it was the toughest thing that I had to do that made all the difference.
Yeah.
It's still hard.
Yep. It is. I think all of us have that tendency to want to look good, whether it's in the marketing that we're doing or the way we're presenting ourselves, or the three of us sitting here on this hangout. Stop and think about the first couple hangouts that we did this summer, Tracy. How stiff they were because we were, we weren't relaxed enough, and we were more concerned with how things looked than really talking and getting down to the nitty gritty.
Absolutely.
And I think. And I'm sitting here doing a sales funnel, and I'll go to post it somewhere, maybe on YouTube or whatever, and I'll see somebody else's that I know video, and I'll click on it, or I'll go to their capture page, and I find myself even now thinking, oh, well, I have to redo mine. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't have to redo mine. I don't have to be like anybody else, because I'm not anybody else. I'm me. And that's okay. That's okay. I had the blessing of the same kinds of conversations that you're talking about, Bob. Conversations that embarrassed me, hurt me, flat out pissed me off, had me in tears after I hung up the phone because I was just so devastated. But one of the things that came out of that was using something. I started to realize that I had always done something that could really help me get past all of this junk, and that was I journal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very fortunate. I had an English teacher in high school who touted the benefits of journaling, and she taught us that journaling wasn't like a diary. It wasn't like, dear diary, I met Billy today and he's cute. It was a journal was more like talking to yourself and asking yourself questions, because when and we all three know this, when you ask yourself a question, your subconscious mind is forced to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't go into all of the psychological stuff when I was in high school, but she said, just talk to yourself on paper. And I've seen a trend towards keeping a digital journal, like on your computer or on your iPad or something like that. And the fact remains that there is, and I'm not going to go into all the physiological, electrochemical, hormonal stuff that goes on in your body, but there's an actual connection that's made when you put pen or pencil to paper and physically write out. It does something very wonderful inside of your head. So knowing this and having these conversations that left me in tears, I would sit and I would just write and write and write. Okay, so why don't I do this, and why this, and why this? And I'm asking myself all these questions, and I'm coming up with all of these goofy, off-the-wall answers, and I'm writing them all down. And it's not so that I could necessarily go back in a year or so and read them, but it is so that I could get them all out. And once I got them all out, I was able to look at them, and I was able to see, this is my area of weakness. This is my area of strength. Now, was it 3 weeks ago when Lynn Driscoll was on with us, Trace? 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Something like that.
Yeah, and she was talking about getting a piece of paper and asking yourself a question on the top of that paper. Like, I don't want to market today because, I don't want to make a video because, and putting a question mark there. And that's one of the techniques that she uses with her clients. And I'm here to tell you that in an altered form, that's something that I have done through the years. And when I do that, when I get stuck on something, there's this little tablet right here next to me, and it's in pencil, not in pen, because pencil is a little bit more primitive feeling. When I get stuck, I just sit and I start writing about the stuff that I'm stuck on and why. And it really helps me to identify my ego issues, to see where my ego is getting in the way. It helps me to nail down exactly what's got me stuck. And it also points a really nice bright arrow toward where I need to go to get the help that I need for whatever it is I'm dealing with. So that's probably my main tool, along with the conversations that beat the tar out of me. I write. I physically write.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
I think the conversations that we've all had that have beaten us up has awakened us up, so that we acknowledge what we did and didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to figure out why, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't do the whys so much because I have a habit of thinking too much, and that will get me in trouble. So I did the baby steps. The thinking helps you, and it helps me sometimes too after I've gotten started. So you write.
Hmm.
What do you do, Bob?
Yeah, I also write,
You
and
also write?
yeah, but I do a little bit of both. I also do the baby steps that you're talking about when I
Sure,
really am
so do I.
stuck,
Mhm.
and I just okay, I know I can do this, so let me do this right now, and then that kind of helps move things forward. So I do a little bit of both between what you guys do.
Yeah, yeah. The the writing helps me to stop thinking, if that makes sense to you.
Hmm.
It does.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I get all of that garbage out of my head and onto a piece of paper where
Yeah, Tracy, you called that
it,
what, a brain dump, right?
Yep.
it's concrete and I can deal with it once it's on a piece of paper. When it's rolling around inside of my head, my thoughts are going like this, you know, and
Yeah, yeah.
and and I can drive myself crazy.
You know what's interesting, guys, is I've seen a couple launches now up more close than I used to. I used to be in the outskirts. Now I've seen a little bit more
Hmm.
close. And what I've noticed is that they don't wait for it to be perfect. They throw it out there, and their attitude is, I'll fix whatever happens as I go.
Mhm.
And they get it out, and people start buying stuff, and things happen, things go haywire, and they fix it. And then they say, oh, that's what happens on a launch, and they keep going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? But it
Yeah.
struck me that they don't, not that they don't care, but they don't expect things to be perfect. They don't wait. 'Cause if that was me, I'd be waiting for years. The old me would wait for years to wait. Maybe this could happen. Maybe that could happen. Try to fix it all to make
Mhm.
sure nothing happened before I launched whatever it was. And they don't do it. They just move on.
Yeah, I think that's the scientist in you, Bob. Anticipating
Yeah,
the
yeah.
problems and doing something to make sure that the problem doesn't happen um, before you do anything. That's got to be a really tough one for you.
Well, I'm working on it. You're gonna laugh, but I sometimes I put out stuff that I know isn't perfect on purpose because that just helps me go.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I hope everybody who's watching this, either live or the recording, I hope they heard you say that, Bob, because that's huge. That's huge.
So it gets you through it because once it's out there, you realize, okay, the sun went down, the sun came back up. Nobody made fun of me. Nobody called me a fool. Nobody maybe even noticed it
And
except
if they,
me.
and if they did call you a fool, you didn't drop dead from it either.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And the bottom line is, we all
What's
think
the
that
worst
people are
thing that can
watching our
happen? They
stuff.
can unsubscribe from your list.
Exactly. And right, Kathy. I mean, we all think that people are watching us so closely, and the reality is they're watching themselves. They're not looking to see if we made a spelling mistake here, or if our stuff doesn't line up on our landing page. Most people aren't looking at that. If they are, they've got issues.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I know. Since I've been a whole lot more willing to be imperfect and ask for help and just be whoever it is that Kathy is from day to day, because that changes from day to day.
Mhm.
Um, I've noticed that I have become so much less judgmental about other folks and their stuff.
Yeah.
Because it used to be like I would see somebody else's that, oh, look at that, they didn't do this and they didn't do that, and whatever. And
Yeah.
then the little voice in the back of my head would say, at least they did something, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so it's helped me to, I think, be a better person, and because who wants to hang around somebody who's judgmental and critical?
No one,
Exactly, exactly. I
including
like the baby steps
ourselves.
thing. I like the baby steps thing. That reminds me of that movie. What about Bob?
Yeah.
That was a great movie. Great movie. It was all about baby steps.
It's
But
all about Bob.
breaking. Yeah, it was all about. Everything's always about Bob, isn't it?
Yep.
As As it should be.
Absolutely. When you find yourself stuck today in that I can't put this out yet mode, um, what do you do? Now, Bob, you just said that you sometimes put stuff out that's imperfect on purpose. What do you do, Tracy, when you are just not wanting to put something out there because you don't feel it's quote
if I've
unquote
done it,
good enough?
if I've done it,
Yeah,
I just put it out there.
you do.
Yeah, I just put it out. If I'm if I'm really finished with it, I'll just put it out there.
How do you
Just
know
let
when
it
you're
fly.
How do you know when you're finished with it?
No, I mean, like, in my mind, I've said everything. If it's a blog post, I've said everything I'm going to say. I've done all this SEO stuff I need to do. I've done the video I want to do. I've stuck the video in there, and there's no real reason for me not to click publish besides wanting to reread it all over again 1,000 times to make sure I didn't have any spelling mistakes or to make sure I didn't say something in a stupid way or whatever. I push publish.
Kath, one of the things I do is I put a time limit on something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say,
Oh, that's a good idea.
this baby is going out tonight, whatever, however it is, at the end of the night, this is how it's going out. And
Mm-hmm.
and stick to it as if you had to give it to a boss.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, okay, this is it. It's not perfect, but there it goes.
That attitude, I think, was pretty pervasive on within Team Crush It during that launch that we did together, because there was a schedule that we had to adhere to, and it didn't matter. We got the stuff out.
Yep.
Period. Some of it was good, some of it wasn't so good. A lot of it was very much less than perfect.
Yep.
But we got it done. And look at what happened during the launch.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely every single one of us was on the leaderboard at least once, if not more often, during that whole, what was it, a month?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's a good point.
But, timing yourself is an excellent. It is one of the things I do. Because what I will do, so I don't get to that point and have to push out something imperfect, so I'll slow myself down. That's when I turn on the timer and say, you're working for 15, 20, 45 minutes straight, and you're not allowed to stop until A, you're done, or the timer dings. That's how I get through that portion of it. And then when I've done, it's written, and I've done all the other stuff, it's time to hit publish. I don't rewatch, and I know I should, but I don't rewatch my videos because I don't want to do them again. Because if I do them again, I probably wouldn't do them again. I did redo one last night, and I know it was horrible. I didn't even watch it. I just deleted it and did it again today.
Mm-hmm.
But when, you're scared, and that's what it is, you're scared to put something out there, just do it, and then you'll learn from it. And if you don't do it, you can't learn, you can't improve, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but you'll never be able to prove it because you haven't produced.
That's a big one. That's a big one. I see so many people who are so concerned with, I'm just going to say with appearances, people that are so wrapped up in their own egos that they're stuck in perpetual learning mode.
Analysis paralysis.
They buy every course that comes down the pike. They participate in every program that comes along because, and they never apply anything. If they even bother to go through the courses that they purchase. But they don't get into
Guilty.
action. And Yeah, well, I was guilty in the past too. I mean, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
Kathy,
don't
it comes down to being secure enough that I don't know if secure is the right word. It comes down to being okay that you
confident,
don't have, yeah, confident enough that you don't have to know everything. That, okay, I know this, I don't know it all, but I'm okay to put it out. And that took a long time for me to get through that.
Me too.
mhm.
I bought a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff I've never looked at.
Same here. And then I went and
I
bought the new
I
version
still
of
have
it.
stuff up there 3 and 4 years old, and it's still shrink wrapped. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the email from somebody who said, "Oh, the updated version of this is now available," and you realize you never looked at the first version?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Then I realized I bought the second version and still never looked at it.
I hope he doesn't come out with a new version because
I need to look at the old one.
because I'm yeah. Oh gosh. I think it's a much more common problem or common issue um, than people want to admit. And this goes full circle back to what we were talking about in the beginning. It seems to rear its ugly head in our industry for some reason. Um, maybe it's because out there, in corporate, whatever country you happen to live in, you have you have a job description, and you have a I'm going to call it a reward system that's
Mm-hmm.
based on performance. It's called your wages, and everybody knows exactly where they fit in. I'm not going to, when I was at the hospital, I was not about to beat myself up that I wasn't the staff psychiatrist because that wasn't my position. I did not train to be a staff psychiatrist. I trained to do something else. But in this industry, we look at the staff psychiatrist and think that we're supposed to be the staff psychiatrist too. So I want to ask you one last question, then we got to get off here because it's getting late. Do you think that a lot of that is due to the fact that the way the products and the companies and the systems and all of that is marketed by whoever, it's always, and now you can do this too. Now you can do this. Now you can do this. It takes the person mentally into a place where, oh, Rob Four is doing this, and he says I can do this too. Therefore, when they're not at Rob Four's level, that plays on the insecurities. What do you think about that?
Oh, can I go first, Tracy?
Oh,
Absolutely.
I think it's an industry issue because we market everything, almost everything, as you'll get results fast. You can get results fast. And then you're hit with testimonials of a 15-year-old who's making $5,000, and you're sitting there and you can't make the thing work. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? I think the whole industry, the way we market as an industry, is a joke. I'm sorry, but to promise stuff and basically, this the things that they promote, yeah, it can be done, but it's not done by most people. And when it's out there that there's a 15-year-old doing it, or there's a 89-year-old grandmother who's getting results, and you can't make it work, it sticks right here, and it makes you feel less, and then you kind of feel like, I don't want to admit I can't do this.
That's right.
I agree. I think it is an industry-wide problem. Most things are marketed so that it makes it sound like, even if they even say it takes work, it still sounds like it's a push button.
Mm-hmm.
Push a button, you can do it. Push a button and
Mm-hmm.
you can do it. And frankly, there really isn't all that much that's actually complicated. We make it complicated. But if we learn how to do it and we follow the actual steps we're told to do and we do it, it's simple, but it doesn't happen overnight.
What you said,
Those
Tracy, you
people,
said learn. It's a learning curve.
it
Exactly.
is a learning curve.
Exactly.
Those people, a 15-year-old, his dad is probably into industry and has been teaching him since he was 10.
Or has that helped him do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
either one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I saw, excuse me, Tracy. I saw, I'm not going to mention the kid's name because we all know him, but I saw this today, a recently released, I don't know if it's a sales funnel he's got going on or what, but he said, I was broke 7 months ago and now I got all of this in 7 months. Well, the fact of the matter is this kid has been in the home business industry for years and years, not
So he's been broke for years.
7 months.
he just stopped being broke, 7 months ago.
And it gives the wrong impression because people tend to think, well, I can get this done in 6 months, I can get this done in 10 months, 12 months. But the fact of the matter is all of these people, including the Diane Hoffmans, the Rob Fours, the Eric Worreys, the David Woods, the list
Gagan
goes
Smith.
on and on and
Yep.
on. Yeah, absolutely every one of them who's willing to show you how they do it, it took them ages to get where they're at today. It didn't happen in just a couple of months. It took years. And I think we need to be more open about that. And I think if we are more open about that, people aren't going to be so scared of saying, hey, I need some help with this, or okay, I'm going to put this out because I've only been in the industry for 2 years and I can't do it like Ray Higdon can, but this is the best I can do, and there you have it. And be willing to do that if they realize that it does take years. It takes time to go from kindergarten to be able to do a calculus problem. It takes time, and people need to give themselves that.
And to go with your question, we see all these products out. What we're talking about, I think our mentor Diana said this before, we're skipping elementary school and going straight to grad school. Or going straight to college, whichever, by taking these advanced courses. We never worried about to figure out what the basics of what you need. And frankly, no one markets it because it's not sexy.
Talk about a self-sorting funnel, right, guys? I mean, if we told it the way it was in the beginning, you wouldn't get as many leads, but the ones you got would be much higher quality. Yep. And all these people who wanted a fast buck, you kick them out right in the beginning, just by right with your headline.
Yep. I'm not going to lie to you, it takes work and it takes time.
That's right.
Can you imagine a headline, this could take years, but you'll make money? I mean, yeah.
Exactly. I like that headline, by the way, Bob.
Yeah, I'm going to try it, see how well it converts.
Yeah, right. Gosh, this has been a really cool hangout. We talked about it being 2 subjects, but it really isn't 2 subjects, is it? It's just a matter of...
No, I don't think it is.
It's a matter of ego, it's a matter of self-confidence, and it's a matter of understanding that it's going to take some time for you to get under your belt the knowledge, and not so much the knowledge, but the skills that you need in order to make the money that you want to.
Yeah. Well,
so
and
just go out there and do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I should show everybody my first blog because it's still out there. It's so silly. But anyway, this has been great, guys. I look forward to, first of all, having you back with us again, Bob. Soon. I love it when you come and hang out with us.
Yeah, I do. I
and I
love it,
really
Bob.
I'm
appreciate you
always
spending.
available for you ladies. You know that. Whenever you want me.
Yeah, you just like being the rose in between the two
Yeah.
thorns. I know
I'm
you.
telling you. No, I like being the ugly guy between the two beautiful ladies. I told you that.
Oh, is that what that is? Seriously, Bob, thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon and contributing your wisdom and your expertise, because I've watched you go from um, a standstill to kind of a rocket ship, and it's just and I know it's a matter of you embracing the fact that you needed to get stuff out there and you needed to ask for help when you needed it,
Mhm.
and a
Yeah.
little bit of beaten up from your mentor too.
Yeah.
So
And
Yeah.
if I could say one thing to people, it would be just have the courage to ask.
absolutely,
It's hard sometimes to put your ego aside and admit it, but when you do, great things will happen.
Mhm. Absolutely.
there's an ancient book sitting on my filing cabinet over there, an ancient book. And in that book, it says, "You have not because you ask not."
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that pretty much sums it up.
There
I
you
think
go.
so. Yep.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm looking forward to next Wednesday. We will be here, same bat time, same bat channel, but I think we're pretty much done for today. We've gone well over our 30-minute time frame, but I think we've got some good stuff out there. And I hope, honestly, I hope people are able to embrace some of the things we talked about and get unshackled in their business and start moving
Yes.
forward. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, everybody. Had a great
Thanks.
time.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.